Why does he keep me around if he doesn't want a relationship? My name is Renee and I'm the founder of thefemininewoman.com, where we teach you how to show up as a high value, high status woman who easily inspires a deep sense of emotional commitment from men. Welcome to this video on why does he keep me around if he doesn't want a relationship. Seriously, if a man doesn't want a relationship with you, then why won't he just let you go? Why does he keep getting in touch and stringing you along? It's annoying, right? Well, here's the short answer to the question of why does he keep me around if he doesn't want a relationship? He keeps you around because it benefits him more to keep you around than it benefits him to let you go. He keeps you around because unless you're super needy, a stalker, a violent woman, or causing him and the other people in his life too much grief, it benefits him more to keep you around. It benefits him to keep you around because for men, women are a resource. Yes. See, while I was thinking about this topic, I was considering this concept of women being a resource to men. I know a lot of women would hate this idea, but bear with me. And while I was thinking about this topic, I came up with the perfect term that I think will help you understand this phenomenon in men. This term is the harem effect. Perhaps if I describe it like this, it will help you understand the basic biological reason why a man would want to try to keep you around if he doesn't want a relationship. What on earth is the harem effect? Now, the definition of harem is a group of female animals sharing a single mate, or the women occupying a harem, the wives or the concubines of a polygamous man. Okay, so you're not in a polygamous relationship with a man. In fact, you may very well be the only woman in this man's life. But just think about the harem effect like this. For many men, having at least one woman around is better than not having any women around. If you're not causing him too much trouble, like letting loose with your anger and scratching him, biting him, egging his car, or stalking him or his cat, then why oh why would he make the decision all by his own self to say bye-bye to you? If he made the choice to get rid of you, then he'd be cutting himself off from accessing sex. Have a think about it. The truth is that he wants to hoard you. In other words, he wants to make sure he gets access to you, to the exclusion of other men while he still can. Better still if he can keep you locked away in his basement and keep you all to himself. I am so joking here, but you get the picture, right? For most average men wanting sex, it's not just a simple process to get any woman to open up to you and offer you sexual access, unless she's feeling very desperate, of course. Once you have gotten a woman to open up and have sex with you, then this woman can give you a steady supply of sex for as long as you are willing to keep her around in your life. Remember that men produce plenty of sperm, too much in fact, so much that it has to get out. For a young guy, one day without masturbation or release is not so fun. The 300 million sperm that they produce per day just builds up. If there's only one woman around, i.e. you, to receive that sperm, that's better than none. It's much better than just masturbating by himself to get rid of that sperm for a man. Now, another answer to your question of why does he keep you around? Men don't get attached the same way that you do. I've said this before so many times. Men can have sex with the same woman for 10 years and not become attached. Yes, of course, they also can get attached after having sex with a woman for 10 years. It is possible when you look at the hormones of love in men and women. For example, when men and women have sex, at the point of orgasm, levels of vasopressin dramatically increase in men, and the levels of oxytocin dramatically increase in women. This can cause a sense of fusion or a feeling of attachment with your lover. But this happens most often for a man with a woman whom he already felt an attachment with and already intended to commit to. The act of sex itself doesn't cause the attachment to you. It can happen, don't get me wrong, but I would seriously caution you against assuming it will happen. Men don't automatically get attached or even love you because you guys had sex. There's something I want you to understand. If you want to date and successfully find love, remember that there is really no shortcut to becoming a man's one and only woman. You simply have to allow yourself to show up as the one and only if you want a man to devote all of himself and his resources to you. If you're not the one and only, then you're in a man's one of many basket. And if you're in the one of many basket, which means basically that he doesn't want to invest in you, then often he still won't mind keeping you around in his life. That is, until his one and only comes along. Remember, a man will either invest everything in you or invest just enough to keep you around. The only way to get him to invest everything in you is to show up as the one and only woman. And remember to not take crumbs from men. If you would like me to show you exactly how to be the one and only, I actually share the 5 secrets to have him fall in love with you and beg you to be his one and only inside of my program, appropriately titled Becoming His One and Only. To check that out, go to bhoodvd.com. That's boodvd.com. I'll leave a link below. Remember that just because you're not the one doesn't mean a man can't keep you around when he doesn't want a relationship with you. Now, I thought long and hard before sharing the next part of this video. I really didn't want to upset anyone. After all, that's not my intent at all. However, when we as women want answers, I believe it's important to receive the truthful ones, not the sugar-coated ones. So, if you would like to get a feel for how one man sees and describes his one of many woman, Eminem's lyrics in his song Superman is a good example. Take a look. And this one. Notice how he's happy to keep her around and be friends? Look, again, I am not condoning his language or his approach. He's notorious for violent lyrics, but he's also popular for a reason. I believe it's because his lyrics are real and they're authentic to him. By the way, don't take all this to mean that Eminem or any man is actually incapable of committing. Not at all. All men secretly love to commit to the right woman. And I'll leave a link to my husband's video on that exact topic below. Here's something that will help you to understand even further. Testosterone can drive down feelings of attachment. As such, men with high baseline levels of testosterone actually get married less frequently, they have more affairs, and they divorce more often. But regardless of a man's baseline levels of testosterone, here's a truth that I know. I know that if a woman leads with sex and lust from the beginning with a man, that man will most likely compartmentalize her in his mind as the one of many women. In other words, she won't be the one. She won't be the one that he forms a romantic union or pair bond with. The woman who shows up as the one and only will be the one whom he feels an emotional attachment for and falls in love with. You see, I really want you to understand that how you start off with a man really matters. If you began with sex, it may very well end with sex. Only, unfortunately, as a woman, it is you and not him who will have to pick up the pieces after forming an attachment with him. Just because you are attached to him doesn't mean he's attached to you. Men don't just get emotionally attached through sex the way that us women would get attached. For us, it's actually very hard to let go of an attachment once we've given our body to a man. However, you can't expect men to attach to you just because he's been having sex with you for a long time. So, your task is to never confuse him keeping you around with him loving you. And especially never confuse him keeping you around with the idea that he might be in love with you. And I really do mean in love, not infatuated with you. A man being infatuated with you is actually not really worth that much to you. If a man is in love with you, romantically attached, and forming a genuine pair bond with you, you will know. You would have hijacked his brain. He won't be able to stop thinking about you, and he won't stop giving off signs that he's falling in love. See, as a woman yourself, it benefits you to say goodbye to a man who isn't committing to you, because the more you invest in him emotionally or have sex with him, the more likely it is that you will get emotionally attached to him. It will only get harder for you to leave him. However, remember that the more emotionally attached you become to a non-committal man, the bigger the costs you incur in your emotional, mental, and sexual health. I also actually have a video on the 10 signs of a commitment-phobic man. You may want to watch that video too. I'll add the link below. Bottom line is, if a man never became emotionally attached to you, the chances of him doing so now depend largely on your ability to create an emotional bond with him. It's harder to create that emotional bond after leading with sex, but it is possible. If you would like to learn how, of course, I suggest checking out my program, Becoming His One and Only. You may be wondering why it's harder to create an emotional bond after you started a relationship based on sex. It's because men by default separate sex from love. Sex does not equal love. Love does not equal sex. One of the biggest and most important insights you need to understand is that for a man, love and sex are two different and separate processes. If you were to examine a feminine woman's brain through an MRI scan, you'd see that the parts of her brain that light up for sex are quite similar to the parts of her brain that light up for love. There's a big overlap. Whereas for most masculine men, the overlap is very small. In other words, the part of his brain that lights up when thinking about sex is very different to the parts of his brain thinking about love. Think about this. If you were so detached from the emotional side of sex and all you needed was a release, then wouldn't sex not mean a whole lot to you either? Here's my recommendation to you. If a man is just keeping you around without wanting to commit to you at all, then ask yourself, can I afford that lost time? And ask yourself, is it really worth my effort to build that emotional bond with him? Only you can answer that question, because only you really know and understand your experiences with this man. If you believe it is worth the effort, great. You put that effort in, but you should be sure. And you should know that the focus has to be on emotional connection and not on the sexual relationship that you have with him. And hey, if it turns out that it's not worth it to try to forge that emotional bond with him, remember that you must grieve the loss of this man who was stringing you along. Don't just allow that half in, half out situation to continue any longer. Don't continue taking crumbs. This is for your emotional and mental health. And once you've grieved the loss, you can then kind of start off strong with a new man and actually form an emotional bond with him from the beginning. And if you would like to know the one specific emotional hot button within every single man in this world that inspires him to want to commit to one woman, take care of her and worship her for life, click the link below in the description and you'll learn what that is. As always, I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below telling me what you feel and think. It really helps us all to learn from each other. I hope you enjoyed this video and I hope that it helped you. I'll speak to you next time, and please don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss my next video. Okay, bye-bye.